Welcome to our channel, Age Gap Gone Right. 32 years of proving people wrong. I'm Rob.
I'm Tyla.
From time to time, you'll hear me refer to her as Pete. That's her nickname, so don't get excited if you hear me talking about Pete. I'm not talking about a guy, I'm talking about my wife. So, I just wanted to clear that up.
Just because it will happen, he will refer to me as Pete or tell a story and he'll talk about Pete, and that's me. So the reason I'm called Pete is that was my dad's name. So that's another story. So this is our first video for this channel, and we wanted to kind of give you just a rundown of what this channel is about. So not that you can tell anymore because I've aged some, but we have a 17-year age gap in our marriage. So Rob is 17 years older than me. He is 74.
Hoorah!
And I am 58. So
Good catch.
I'm not going to hoorah about that. So when we got married 32 years ago, obviously we were a lot younger. I was 26 and Rob was 43, I believe.
Had a full head of hair.
Or almost 43. So as you can imagine, it's not a very common thing for that to happen. So our channel is going to be about how it came about, just stories of our marriage, what's went right, what's went wrong, how we've made it last, what people's reactions were, and just a little bit of everything. It's not very common. You really only hear about that now in an age difference in marriages in Hollywood. You know, the older men grabbing the younger woman or blah, blah, blah. But that didn't happen here. So we're going to try not to talk over each other in this video because I have a bad tendency of interrupting, so I'm going to try not to do this. So I'm going to say what I want to say real quick. So regarding our age difference, Rob is a very youthful, young 74, and I am a very old 58, if you will. I'm kind of an old soul. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I have a child. My oldest child is in his 40s, so I was a teenage pregnancy statistic. So I grew up very quickly, very fast. So by the age of 26, you know, I had a 9-year-old kid. So I was well on my way to being mature. So
Now, how we met was I had a martial arts school. Still have one, but back in the day, it was more commercial. And I was teaching class one night, and I see this woman bring this young boy in, and they was just watching, and I thought, well, she's a pretty good looking woman, see? So after the class, I talked to her and I give her the schedule of the class and what we teach and what we focus on during the classes, and I give her the price of the tuition, what that would be. So they come back the next night, and she was well poised, well mannered, and she walked up to me and she handed me, the tuition was $40 back then. She handed me 2 folded up $20 bills, and I thought, well, that's kind of different, but I like that. Now I don't know if she handed me cash because, you know, she thought I wouldn't claim it on my taxes, or whether that's just the way she did business. But anyway, I liked that. And so they joined. So I would see her 2 or 3 times a week. We didn't engage in conversation, just hi, how you doing, and all this stuff. But within 2 or 3 months, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it was, what I found out about her was she did have a child when she was 15. She lived with her parents. She worked at the hospital as an operator. She did not have a car. She drove her mother's car. And I think the thing that attracted me to her the most, what caught my attention, was the fact that she wasn't into herself like most people were. She wasn't anxious to talk about herself.
I was a very quiet person, and back then, being young and single and living at home, $40 was a big deal to me, because I saved everything I could, worked all of the hours that I could because I was living at home, trying to eventually get my own vehicle, make it on my own someday. So $40 was a big deal to me. So me enrolling him in that class was he wanted to do that. He had a friend that was doing it at that school, so that's kind of how that came about, and it was a good decision. But I didn't talk to a lot of people back then. I'm not rude or snobbish or nothing, but I was just quiet by nature. Still am to a degree. You may not be able to tell that in this video, but kind of quiet. So, the first few months, I would just watch him take his class and not, just chit chat with everybody, nothing unusual. But then Rob eventually started offering an exercise class for adults, parents of the students or whoever wanted to join. So I joined that just as something to do, and my son was able to sit there and play with the other kids while I took that class. It was just kind of an activity for us to do together. While he played, I would get a little bit of exercise in. So once that happened, we kind of talked about what we were doing, and I would tell him during the hospital, when I worked at the hospital on my lunch hour, I would walk just for something to do. I would get outside and walk, and he eventually told me, where he worked and what he did outside of the school, and asked me if I would want to go on a walk with him at the park across the street from where I worked. So that was kind of our first initial get together, if you will. So
That was that was the first opportunity we really had to talk, to try to get to know each other. Now, prior to that, the karate school would have different functions, pool parties, Christmas parties, and stuff like that. And she would always come to that, and it seemed like, I don't know what it was. I noticed it, but a lot of people wouldn't talk to her, probably because she was single, and she was young. She had that young boy, and they just didn't know what to say, or they were just being snobbish or something like that. But I always made time to come up and ask her how she was doing and whether she was having a good time and all this stuff. And I could tell she was not. She probably felt like she was being ignored. But I tried to make her feel comfortable. But anyway, during the walks was the first time, and we did this for a long time, because I always walked at lunch. I found out she walked at lunch, so actually we started walking at lunch together. And that gave us a chance to really to dig deep in to find out what made each other tick. Because for me, if the characters, the personalities, the spirits don't align, there's no sense in pursuing a relationship. And what I found out was, when I was a kid, I used to talk to my cousins. By kid, I'm saying 17, 18, 19. We used to talk, and they would ask me, they would say, well, what kind of woman are you looking for? And I would try to describe it as best I could, And what I realized during those walks was she was exactly what I had been looking for forever. She was what I described to my cousins. And so the more I got to know her, the more I liked her. And it's kind of like there's really a lot of people don't believe in love at first sight, I guess, but I happen to believe in that. And I referred back to Joseph Campbell, this philosopher, when somebody asked him, how do you know when you fell in love and all this kind of stuff? And his reaction to that was like, well, he couldn't explain it either. He said it was like a state of bliss. It was like a bright light just shined, and then automatically you knew. You couldn't explain it. And he always questioned that, if you can explain it, are you really truly in love? And that's what I experienced.
Isn't that sweet? Isn't that sweet? Speaking of bright lights, as I look at myself in this video, I look like my head's glowing up here. I'm letting my hair grow out, my gray hair grow out, so that's why that looks like that. But anyways,
no, I let my gray hair grow out, and it grew all the way out.
Yeah.
See?
So just talking about the unusual circumstance, a lot of people are, as far as the reactions, and we'll make another video about how people reacted when all of this came about so many years ago. But one of the things that people would think about myself, you know, they always think about the man looking for a younger girl, but they would look at me having a small child and thinking, oh, she's looking for a dad for that little boy, or she's looking for a father figure, and that was far from the case. I was doing just fine by myself. I had the support of my parents, which was great. I wasn't looking for a father figure. I had the best dad in the world. And he was great with my son. So none of that was the circumstances. So it's funny how people reacted. And again, that'll be another video on down the road, because there were some reactions that were some good, some not so good. So, but as you can imagine, so.
Some good, some bad. Now we do not live in the past. The only time we revisit the past is if we're trying to pull up a fond memory. The past is the past, and none of that equals the future. We just do not. And like her, the last thing that I was looking for when I met her was a wife. So.
Right. So we're gonna finish this video up, but we want to let you know we're glad you're here. We hope you like this channel. This channel is going to focus on marriage, home life. You know, the goods and bads of a marriage, not just our marriage, but any marriage, and what we do to make it work. You know, we're 32 years strong and shooting for a lot more, and it's gonna be, we're gonna have a good time. It's not a serious channel. We don't edit our videos, so when you see something weird happen or goofy happen or say something that doesn't make sense or needs removed, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to do it. I work a full-time job from home, so I'm busy enough with that. So what you see is what you get. So.
And I stutter from time to time, so don't take that personal. Normally when I start stuttering, I start laughing. We're going to give you the good, bad, and the ugly of a marriage with 17 years age difference. Although I said the good, the bad, the ugly, but honestly, the bad and the ugly, we just haven't experienced that.
Nope.
See, so
Nope.
You know, a lot of people, I think what they do is they try to what do you want to say? Explain it, or I don't know. They just, what am I trying to say? Analyze it. Yeah, they try to overanalyze it, and then when it comes right down to it, you love that woman, you love that guy, you're respectful to her, she respectful to you. You try to work together. See, do you always agree on everything? No, but how do you handle the disagreements? See, tricks of the trade.
Yeah. So we're glad you're here. We hope you subscribe, give us a like, and we will see you on the next video.